I'm Gina, I'm from the 3MC venue. How have you funded this exercise?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, we started out, with Unconvention, we started out the first event, we funded it ourselves. So, we just all pitched in with a bit of money. But also, we asked people to help. We asked people to do stuff. And again, this is something that again happens in Brazil as a matter of course. A few weeks ago in Brazil, they put a concert on in the middle of Sao Paulo with 50,000 people, and they did it all on no budget, and they had the biggest hip hop stars in Brazil playing. So for us, it was about that, but on a smaller scale, starting off. We then thought, okay, right, things are going well. We've done loads of events. We now need to fundraise. That's what you do, isn't it? You fundraise. We set up a board, and we became this kind of a structure around what we were doing. And then we fundraised, and we put in application after application after application, and we didn't get any funding for what we were doing at all. And it became it was almost like we should do this. We need to do this. Every event that we do internationally, we fundraise for internationally. We work a lot with the British Council. We work with brands. We work with governments, and it's easier for us to fundraise in Venezuela than it is in the UK. So, after putting in multiple applications, primarily to Arts Council, and getting them rejected, we then just kind of thought, well, Unconvention, I should say, is only run by 2 people. So we work with loads of partners around the world, and we work with some fantastic interns, but there's only 2 of us that really have, the skills, I guess, to write the funding applications. And so we just kind of thought, well, let's just not bother anymore, Let's just see how we've got. And also, there was this kind of like massive apology that we had to give all the time about, oh, I'm really sorry, we don't have any funding, and people would be, well, how are you going to be sustainable? How are you going to, and I think, well, we've just done 50 events, and I feel really proud that we've done that without any core funding. And I feel almost like, well, we don't have to apologise anymore. But also, we don't have to answer to anybody. We do everything we do, we evaluate it, we have a board, we have an international board. We can see the impacts of what we do, and we collect as much documentation and evidence of that as we can. But we don't have to shoehorn our ideas into anything. We can basically do whatever we want, which gives us a really big freedom, because I think when I've worked on funded stuff before, you spend half your time writing up stuff for the funders, capturing data that you don't really need to capture. And whereas what we do has true impacts that we can see and we can articulate in the way that we want to articulate it. And with all of the funding cuts and meeting lots of people who run these huge organisations like South Bank, and how terrible it is for them to have to have 100 or 200 people leave the organisation. We work 2 people. We've worked like this for 4 years. We can shift and we can move and we can do whatever we want to do. And I think that actually it's really good that we didn't get any funding. And if you had asked me 4 years ago, when we were like so desperate to get the funding, and I would get a funding rejection letter and I would cry, and that's the truth. I would get it and I'd just be like, I don't understand. I'd phone my dad and I'd be like, why do we never get it? And now it's kind of like, I think it's fine. We can survive. We do other things that help us eat, and we don't have, we certainly don't have, really amazing lifestyles. We find it challenging constantly, but we do it. So, yeah.
When you said South Bank, 100 people leaving, whatever, is that because of the cuts?
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. That was as the cuts started to happen. But yeah, everybody that I speak to who works in any big organisation is constantly in fear of losing their job, which again adds the kind of underlying stress to the way the organisations run and to people's mentalities. If everyone's constantly concerned about what's the future, and especially in the arts, it's just, under this government, it's just terrible. So for us, it's kind of, it's been quite nice not having that stress almost.